What's up, everyone? Welcome into another DETV Sports Update, a casual Wednesday, as we are back. A lot going on with us here in the past 3 weeks, but we are back ready to go, get on this consistent basis again. A lot to talk about since the last time we got together. As always, Jason McCall, welcome back. How's your week been going?
Had an eventful night last night, but clearly got angels protecting me, so that's why I got this on tonight, folks. If you see, it's the California Angels, not that Los Angeles Angels, Anaheim, whatever they call themselves.
Whatever they are now.
They were just a regular California Angels, number 44. Mr. Reggie Jackson before he missed October, by the way. So, yeah, glad to be back and just happy to be here today with my bros and talk some good stuff.
Yeah, we had some good conversations going before the show. We'll dive into a lot of this coming up. Matt, welcome back. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Jason's representing the Angels, you're representing the Phillies,
right.
and I'm representing the accountants of the team.
Moneyball, you represent the A's. There you go.
Moneyball, man.
Oakland A's, Moneyball. There you go.
That's right. 'Cause what does he need to do? He needs to get on base. That's the secret.
I thought you were about to say trade Bryce Harper already
No,
for the
no,
show.
I'm not gonna do that. No.
And we're not going to do that yet. We got a lot to get into today, guys. NBA update. We got to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid. Big quote coming from him over at the Uninterrupted Sports Film Fest, talking about maybe his potential future in Philadelphia. The Summer League came to a close last night. The Cavaliers, your Summer League champions, Isaiah Mobley and Imani Bates, leading them to that Summer League championship. We'll talk about that. Training camp getting underway for the Jets yesterday. A couple other teams getting involved this week, and then into next week, everybody's going to seem to get and report to camp. The Jets, they're going to be on Hard Knocks this year. We'll see.
God.
Are you going to watch, yes or no? We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then something we definitely have to touch on is this running back contract situation. The running backs in the NFL up in arms here in the last week after that deadline passed. No deal for Saquon, no deal for Josh Jacobs. Jacobs leading the NFL in rushing, and Saquon obviously had a great season last year with the Giants. They made the playoffs. No deals there. We'll see if they sign that franchise tag or what the future looks like for some of the running backs here in the NFL. But let's start with this Joel Embiid news, guys. If you didn't see the interview on the Uninterrupted Sports Film Fest, a one-on-one with Embiid earlier this week, and he mentioned that he just wants to win a championship at all costs, whether that be in Philly or anywhere else. So did kind of have the awareness to put the anywhere else in there. What do you guys think that means? Does it mean anything? Is he doing the usual Joel trolling bit here, or is maybe his future not going to be with Philadelphia?
If I may, this isn't trolling. This is him being brutally honest about himself and about the team and where they both are in his career and where they are at the state of the franchise. I don't look into it much others about the or anywhere else. He's supposed to say that. Like, honestly, when you're playing in the league and he's been in the league for 8, 9 years now, I will give or take, and he's played, 6 or 7 of those 9 years, if you will, missed the first 2 years of back injuries and stuff. Has been out second round ever in his career. He hasn't been out second round since 2001. He's supposed to say what he said. I think people get too much up in arms about the or anywhere else. A lot of people have sound bites and clips, but you don't listen to the whole interview. So I'm taking it as that, but he is very frustrated. But at the same time, Joel Embiid has to put a lot of the onus of the losing and not getting past those rounds on himself as well, which would start with being in better condition the entire season, not just when you get hot or when you are past training camp. Everyone hates practice and training. Let's just put it out there. No one wants to go, everyone wants to be ready and just play, but training camp is there for a reason, practices are there for a reason, and it's more so of his mental makeup. If he wants to be the leader, he has to lead by example, verbally and physically on the court. He's taking strides in those areas, but y'all show me more. Like, you had Harden, you had Maxey, you have all the others. Now it's time, like, okay, just be quiet and play. And keep your big behind off the three-point line. Go in the post, mid-range. If Joel Embiid did that, if he scored 30.3 or whatever it was this year, he could probably average 40 if he stayed off three-point line. Because he gets fouled that much. He's quicker than most bigs, and he's just as skilled as most 3s and 4s as far as the ball handling and the shooting ability. But he has to take ownership of what has happened the past few years. But also, we still have Daryl Morey running the team. So, I mean, you're not going to win much when Daryl Morey is your team president. It's not going to happen. That's my take on it.
Matt, how you feel? Same situation? I think maybe a little bit of trolling in there, but I agree with Jason. I think he has to take ownership for some of his performances of not getting out of the second round. I do think he knows what he's doing, like some of these other guys like Lillard in the past, talking about the destinations before he demanded a trade. I think he's kind of putting it out there to give the Sixers a little sense of urgency maybe. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I feel like this is the second half of his career. I mean, he achieved the ultimate goal I think he had for his career, which is winning the MVP. But heavy is the head that wears the crown. You have the MVP. Now you can't sit there and say, well, I need better team. Because as we see guys with MVPs, they got to take that next step forward. And the problem with Embiid, to Jason's point, you're not in shape, bro. And by the time you burn out in the regular season, you give it all regular season. You see his production. Yeah. You get into the playoffs, and not just this year, last year too, the year before.
Yeah.
You go from averaging 33 points regular season to averaging 23 points in the playoffs. You go from being a 31 PER guy, which people who don't know, that's player efficiency rating. League average is 15. He was 31 in regular season. He went to 20 in the playoffs. So you're not even playing efficiently. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's on you, my man. You're the MVP. You know, and you're talking about Philadelphia. They've seen Dr. J. They've seen Moses Malone. They've seen Allen Iverson. Bro, if you don't have that, if you're not cut from that cloth, bro, yeah, maybe you should get out. Because Philly's not going to, they're a different breed of fan over there. They don't want to hear these excuses. Once you've achieved that level of being the best guy, then you got to follow through in the playoffs.
I will say this, though. This is sounding like Barkley in 91, 92, before they traded into the Suns for Tim Perry.
Yeah.
This is sounding like Barkley.
And Jeff Hornacek.
Yeah. This is sounding like Barkley 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Because Barkley said similar words, and he was traded the following season. Yeah. And then he went on to win MVP and have a great back of his career. The difference is Barkley had already gotten himself physically fit to where you didn't have questions about his
thanks to Moses,
his shape anymore and everything else. And B still has questions. We still see you eating Burger King and donuts and all kinds of stuff.
He was eating it before the games, like on the training tables.
But the fact that remains that you can't shake the fact that this is eerily similar to those who are of a certain age to know what happened with Barkley's situation in Philly. There's no way Barkley's ever left Philadelphia. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
This is looking like Barkley 2.0.
I totally agree with you, and I think that the difference between Barkley and not just to the being in shape, but also I think the management was worse when Barkley was there. When you start looking around at who the Sixers have had, I mean, Tyrese Maxey, as much as people get frustrated with sometimes of him looking lost on the court.
He's a second star.
Yeah, he's a star.
Yeah.
You have Harden, pseudo-star at this point. The talent's there, my man. When Barkley was there, it was Hershey Hawkins and that's it. Yeah, like at this point, like, you got the pieces, bro. You got to put it together.
Hans Witherspoon.
Yeah.
And even if you're not talking, championship, you got to get past the second round, especially with all that talent. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Matt, you mentioned the point drop off from the MVP regular season to playoffs. That's the biggest drop off by an MVP in NBA history. So again, that highlights it there. We'll see how he comes into next season. We'll see if he's in a little bit better shape. We'll see if Harden's on the roster. A lot of question marks coming right now, but the big team that's been kind of swirling around, and I don't expect it to be traded. I think we've all talked about we don't expect it to happen. It's possible, we don't expect it, but the big team lurking around is the New York Knicks. That's been a lot of the behind-the-scenes talk. Leon Rose, obviously Joel Embiid's former agent. They've got all the assets in the world now to make a deal. So that's what do you think about that? Obviously, you don't like that, Knicks. I mean, obviously, I don't either, but news to you?
Wait, this from IG Threads?
Yeah. This is it. Everybody's talking. Inner circles,
You on Threads? That's what happened.
Yeah. What are all these assets that they got?
I'm telling you, they got stuff. Would they build the draft this year?
Mitchell Robinson?
The draft last year? They got draft picks.
You talking about Julius Randle?
They got draft picks. They've got Julius Randle. They've got draft picks. They got some other. Quickly was been mentioned in there. Hartenstein, obviously, I'm looking at parts of the big deal.
They quickly. They got Maxey.
Listen, I'm with you. I'm just telling you what everybody's been talking about. I'm telling you.
People trying to make 2K trades, man.
I'll play this. I would never trade anybody to a team within my own division.
Oh, no, I agree, too.
That's not happening.
I'm not trading New York a big man that's as good as Patrick Ewing was. I'm not doing that, bro.
And I agree. And I
Not
hope
doing
they
that.
don't do it. I'm just saying, if it were to come to that, the team that's being talked
People
about.
gotta stop being on 2K making trades.
they up there.
We getting crazy now, man.
Think of the NBA Jam. Nah,
Yeah,
I'm good
bro.
with that, man. Nah.
So let's talk now about the Harden aspect of all this.
Yeah.
'Cause
bullshit.
when you look at the James, he opted in, which was a decision that he made. He wanted to get that, I believe, was $35 million coming into this year. So now he has not a lot of leverage after opting into that contract now with the Sixers. Daryl Morey going to be patient as always with them. He waited to trade Ben Simmons. And obviously that worked out. You could say getting off that contract alone would have been beneficial. They got Harden back to go along with it. So if you're James Harden now, obviously it's been said that the relationship with Daryl Morey is somebody he's been working with his entire career since he got to Houston. I believe Morey in 2005 and then Harden when he got traded there. They've been great friends. I believe Morey called him like the Jesus of basketball, something along all those lines. But now the relationship is supposed to be fractured. James Harden.
That Houston lean at that time.
Definitely been sipping
That
that
was
Houston
lean.
lean,
That
bro.
was
But
lean.
now, though, guys,
Wow.
I don't think they're not close at all. In fact, I don't know if they're talking. They're not apparently on good terms. What do you guys think
Here's
of
the
all
thing. Harden's an old player now. You're only as valuable to the
That's
GM
right.
and president as your production is on the court. He had Harden at 22, 23. Harden's 34 now. It's a totally different person.
And he's acting like he
On the
still wants
court.
Harden to be on the team next year. What's the best case scenario for the Sixers? Is it to trade Harden, get some stuff back, keep him, maintain that roster heading into next year?
The
What are you
best
trying
case
to do?
scenario is to trade Harden and give the keys to Maxey. Because this is a marriage it's.
But again, you got to be competitive after the
They're
trade,
going to
right?
be competitive
I
with
agree.
Maxey. You got to
But if they didn't get out of the second round with Harden and you're not getting anything particularly back
But the
next
problem
year.
is this with the Sixers. It's been a problem for the last few years. The Sixers' asking price for anybody
That's
is
Daryl Morey,
entirely
exactly
too high.
Yep.
They could have flipped Harden 3 times by now and gotten draft picks and a bunch of assets back. Like, you don't want to get fleeced like the Jazz did. No, I'm sorry, like Timberwolves did for trading for Gobert. You don't want that kind of trade.
No.
You want a trade that's more aligned with, like, I'll say even the whole CP3 Jordan Poole swap. At least you're still getting players that can produce and be productive. Chris Paul may be a trail in, but he still can give something. But like, you have to get something. You can get a player and a pick, at least 2 picks for Harden right now. But they're asking for like 3 players, a couple picks, and cash consideration for Harden. That's not going to work. He is not 2012 James Harden.
And again, we talked about the leverage. He doesn't have a lot of it. I think if they can get anything semi-decent for him, I mean, he led the NBA in assists last year, over 10 a game. But that was kind of what they wanted him for, was that run last year. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's see how they do in that setting. Didn't get out of the second round. Obviously, you put up a few 40-point games, but the other games were absolute duds.
You know what? Of course, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who is the head coach of the Sixers?
And that's, I think, the biggest change coming into this year. I think that's the biggest.
No, who is it? I forgot. Who is it? Who's the new head coach? Is Nick Nurse, right?
Yeah.
Nick Nurse, yeah.
That's the biggest difference for me.
Harden doesn't fit his system.
No.
That's why he has to be traded. It has to be traded. Like, I can see Maxey fitting better because Maxey has a slightly similar style to Van Vliet.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, that small guard type.
Small guard, but also it's just the way that they run their offensive sets. I think Harden would have to expend a lot more energy off the ball than he would like to be successful in Nick Nurse's
And
offense.
that's the issue. And when talking to Doc Rivers, he did an interview after the season. He said the biggest issue was when James gives the ball up, he can't get it back. He's not that player that can come off a screen and, move around a lot, come and get the ball back and get up a good shot with the shot clock running down. Yeah. That's what he highlighted as soon as the season went over, after he lost his job. What do you think about James Harden? What do the Sixers do from here? If you were Daryl Morey, what are you trying to do here?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't be Daryl Morey because I don't think he's very good. But if I had to be Daryl Morey,
you have to for this scenario.
Unfortunately, I would pray to God that I don't have to continue to be Daryl Morey. But if I have to, sure, I would try to trade James Harden. I think you have to. I think you have to get something from that. And I do agree with Jason. I think Nick Nurse coming in, I don't think he's going to take a ball-dominant guard in that situation. His guards have usually been guys that are free-flowing and can get their shots off on the move or set up.
They play
the
downhill.
offense. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it works with Harden anymore. And look, I think the reason why Daryl Morey is frustrated with Harden is because Daryl Morey, unfortunately, didn't read the scouting report on James Harden. It's easy to look good, and I say that in the most respectful way. That D'Antonio system works with dynamic guards. It worked with Steve Nash. It worked with Harden. It even gave Jeremy Lin. He should name his child Mike after Mike D'Antonio. It gives the guards a great freedom to get their shots off and to create. It really boosts their stats up. So at the end of the day, Harden was always, and I hate to say that, he was always boosted a little bit more in that D'Antonio system. When you get away from that D'Antonio system, as you saw him in Brooklyn, he's a little bit less efficient. You have old age. You're 33 now. You were never what I would call an elite athlete. You were always a guy that got by on guys by using shiftiness and being crafty with the ball. It just doesn't age as well. Like LeBron James, everybody talks about LeBron James. Oh, he's old, and look what he's doing. Yeah, LeBron was an elite athlete. So when you're an elite athlete and you have fundamentals, you age gracefully. And you train? Exactly. You age gracefully. James Harden has always been a guy that enjoyed the nightlife more than he did training. Yep. He's always been a guy that ate whatever he wanted to eat. And
Pick me. Go ahead. I have an analogy. Harden ain't nothing but a fat Iverson.
Ooh. Ouch.
I'm going to tell you why. What skills did they ever improve on throughout their career? All right, don't worry, I'll wait.
I think Iverson's will to win alone puts him on a little bit higher than James. I don't think James Harden, to me, in terms of talent and skill set, I'm talking
talent skill set they even. That's what I'm saying. And as far as not really adding different dimensions to their game as they aged. Remember, Iverson could have played another 4 or 5 years had he relegated himself to being a 6th or 7th man, but also adding more to his game, like being a better on-ball defender, like playing passing lanes a little better. Same thing with Harden. He doesn't play passing lanes as well as he used to. He's not a great on-ball defender. He's not even a good help defender. So these are things that, as you age, you got to pick up on different things. And Harden's mid-range game has fallen off.
It's almost non-existent.
People are forgetting that too. It's either a 3 or a layup.
And the layups are scarce now too. He can't get to the basket.
And when he can't get past anybody, he dribble,
falls down.
Dribble. We can't do the Houston system. You can't dribble 15 times and get a step back anymore. No, the NBA's caught up to that. Everybody does it now. So we know when it's coming. We know when you hit the in and out with your right hand, you're going to do the dribble, step back. It's telegraphed now. Mm-hmm. He hasn't added to his game. And that's the problem.
And again, I agree with you there. I mean, that mid-range game, if he just would have, even just worked on that as he aged.
He is too big not being the posting up guards every game. He should have 5 post-ups a game.
Again, he's just not the same player. A little bit out of control. You see, and I don't know who hits the floor, him or Embiid. It's close, but we'll see what they do next year. Again, I kind of agree with you guys. I think maybe it'd be better for the Sixers going forward if Harden, if you got something back for him, and then we'll see what they do. A lot of Levine rumors too behind the scenes.
I would make that trade.
I think that's best case if you're able to Maxey, Levine.
If I'm
Embiid.
Chicago, it's dumb.
Well, they make all. They're just I don't know what. Alonzo and that Lonzo news hurts. I feel bad for Lonzo.
He's not going to play again.
That's real sad. That's terrible. But I don't know what Chicago's going to do now. Again, they were looking good. They re-signed Levine, had DeRozan, got Lonzo for the first year in Chicago. They were the #1 team in the East.
They re-signed Vucevic. This current.
Again, 3 years over whatever $1 million.
I give him that. 'Cause who else do they have?
And that's, I guess, the reasoning behind it. Back to the Joel Embiid situation. The Knicks have 11 first-round picks the next 5 years. 11.
Who gave them those picks?
11 first-round picks. They did a lot of that work last year in the draft, trading Jalen Duren. They got 2 first-round picks back for that. 11 in the next 5 years.
Who gave them 2 first-round picks for Jalen?
Well, the way it worked out, it was like the way it worked out is they got in
the 3-team trade. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. They got 2 picks for moving up. Somebody moved up a couple spots.
Usman, Jing, OKC gave.
That's right.
You're right. Okay.
But that's a lot of first-round picks. That's a lot of ammo to deal with.
It's also the Knicks and James Dolan.
And I haven't heard that in a long time. Everybody seems to have forgotten that part here recently. And how long do you think Thibodeau's still going to be there? You think Thibodeau's the guy?
He need to be fired now.
He's on borrowed time today.
I don't know about him either.
Did you hear about what Evan Fournier came out about this week?
Yeah, I saw that
in the news.
What did he say?
Evan Fournier is like, I don't understand how he's sitting on the bench. He said
he hates him.
He hates him, and then he said him and Derrick Rose both later started and said, what the hell are we doing here?
And remember, we talked about this during that was it the playoff run? How
Yeah.
they
didn't
you
play
were,
either
we
one of
were
them, like-
trying to get them some minutes, and we couldn't get them any
And
minutes
mind
this
you,
year.
Evan Fournier could have cooked any guard on the Heat outside of Jimmy Butler. You know and Evan Fournier is a Celtic killer, so we know what he does to us. Like I'm not even gonna sit here and he's been a decent guard. He can score. He has defends. And when he scores, he defends better.
Well,
And D Rose is he's still a
where
version
did he
of-
end up?
He's in Memphis. now.
Memphis, that's right.
He's back home.
I like that.
College ball there. Now he's playing.
I like that.
And he's wearing 23 again.
Yeah.
By the way, Javon Quinterly going to play his 11th year at Memphis this year. I don't know what
Jelly
years
fam.
he's got, man. He's got
He's
a
got
lot of
9
years.
lives, man.
Yeah, man.
Let's keep it going, though, with the NBA here. Talk a little bit about this free agency, some signings. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've been here. We talked about the big stuff going on initially into the free agency period. Sixers matched that Paul Reed offer sheet from the Utah Jazz. 3 years, $23 million. After signing Montrezl Harrell, after signing Mo Bamba, after having Joel Embiid under contract, they got 4 or 5 centers. They signed Philip Petrusev to a 2-way contract. But they got a lot of centers, guys.
He'll
here
play with
coming into
Blue
the
Coats,
next
don't worry.
season.
President play with Blue
Yeah,
Coats. We'll
absolutely.
see him down here.
Yep, for
At your
sure.
house.
Absolutely. I don't know if we'll ever make it
Up to the
Wells Fargo Center. But either way, a lot of centers on this roster for the Sixers here. What do you think about that Paul Reed matching that offer sheet? Apparently, the Jazz putting some extra stuff in there that was considered, I guess, the poison pill
I love Danny
contract.
Ainge, baby.
So Sixers matched it, but they're going to have to pay a little bit of a price, not just money-wise, but again, there's some ins and outs of the contract for Paul Reed. That's not to the Sixers' liking there. What do you think about matching that?
I wouldn't have matched it. I'd have let Utah have him. But
I think it was a
I
pressure
get the logic.
from the fans. I think the fans love him so much.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy they developed. They took him as a sophomore out of DePaul. They spent a couple years on him. I think fans
G League
have an
MVP.
investment with him. Truthfully, I probably wouldn't have re-signed Montrezl Harrell.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I
one
wouldn't have done that at all.
Yeah.
I guess they must have thought maybe they were going to lose Paul Reed initially. I didn't get that at all. It made no sense. After Harrell was unhappy when the season ended, he didn't even want to be back. So I don't know how they even came to that conclusion.
So get this. We're talking about this team that's structured right now, right? If you're going to resign Paul Reed and give him that kind of money, he has to be a starter now.
Well, he's going to. I don't know if this will be he has to
No, he
give
has to be
you
a
great
starter.
minutes off the
He-
bench.
If I were the Sixers,
You gotta get this.
In hypotheticals, yes. If you were.
I would replace Tobias in the starting lineup with Paul Reed.
That's a fact.
Tobias off the bench, huh?
Off the bench.
Talk about a poison pill.
Because it gives you a different look, but also Paul Reed just fits wings in the game. And Paul Reed and
I think you
Maxey
could play him at the
have a
four with
chemistry
Embiid.
that you can't teach.
I think him and Embiid can be effective on the floor at the same time. Yeah, definitely.
Teams would be a game plan for a lineup with Maxey, Reed, and Embiid on the floor together at the same time because it's a whole different. It's a different look. From what
And
they
let me
used to.
throw this at you guys now. A lot of talk about the Mo Bamba signing. That's supposed to be one of the guys Nick Nurse wanted to bring in, and they were thinking about playing him at the 4 alongside Joel Embiid this season.
gonna work.
What do you think? No?
Mo Bamba is a 5. He's not a 4.
And I
think they're
actually
gonna
like
try it.
Mo Bamba.
I like Mo Bamba, yeah.
I love Mo Bamba's length and his versatility on defense, but that's not going to work in an offense with Embiid.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't fit offensively on the floor. Paul Reed would do much better with maximizing that space.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's why I'm saying that. Like
yeah,
Paul Reed has to be a starter this year.
yeah. I think Mo Bamba is great
Off the
to
bench.
switch off for defensive plays, but like when he's in that offense with Embiid, it's going to be different.
But why did they resign Montrezl Harrell? I don't
That's the one. A
understand
lot
this.
of people don't get that one.
But
So-
the thing is, though, he's like, Montrezl Harrell has a great game to him. Like he's going to score, he's going
Right.
to rebound, he's going to defend. But he's being phased out like the Nuggets did the Manimal, Kenneth Reed. Like, he's the same,
Manimal, wow.
the same career track. Like
Yeah.
double doubles, and then you don't hear from him at all. Disappear.
Right.
That's what's happening.
I
to Harrell
liked
right now.
him with the Clippers for those, a couple years, and then
He wanted too much money. It's his own fault.
that happened, and then he's really not can't even get the playing time. Where was he? Was he last? Charlotte last? Where was he last?
He was with Charlotte before he came to
right?
the Sixers. Yeah.
Before the
But
Sixers.
that's another. They don't allow men's players either. So that's another team. That's
Yeah, that's another one.
So let's stick again with the NBA here and talk a little bit about your Boston Celtics trading Grant Williams to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks have been linked in for a while. It's the kind of guy they really wanted to bring into Dallas. They've been kind of talking about him for a while. Wasn't sure if he was going to get a new deal with the Celtics, what his future was like in Boston.
it was a sign and
but
trade,
they
yeah.
send him, so they get some decent stuff back, some second round picks and stuff back for him. What do you think about your Boston Celtics
3
sending Grant
years,
Williams?
$43 million. Get your money, brother. Get your money. I'll say this. Grant Williams became more of a liability this playoff season than we would have liked. But again, he's also very much a glue guy, integral piece of the team.
So you lost two glue guys.
No, you lost Marcus. He was Marcus Smart-esque. Not saying to that level, but
big difference.
His impact was that. I mean, he was a undersized 5 who was guarding bigs and shooting threes and playing solid defense.
He had that PJ Tucker energy to him too out there.
But he's also only 26, so you can't. The Celtics couldn't pay Grant Williams and still didn't try to give extension deals to Brown and Tatum over the next 2 seasons. Somebody had to go, which is why because they signed Marcus Smart to an extension 2 years ago, which people said, "Why we gave him an extension 2 years ago?" That contract was going to be a poison pill at the back end of it. So the Celtics are making business decisions, but they're still bringing talent back in, which is what teams are not doing now. But with this new deal, this new CBA, with the contracts, with the salary cap, you're going to see a lot more people getting traded for a piece of paper, if you will, like less than nothing. It's going to start happening more and more because now teams owners aren't going to want to have that 4th and 5th year of a contract when the salary balloons. So you're going to see a lot of more big name players. This is even from NBA insiders that I've been researching and studying on. This is going to be a trend over the next 2 years because of the new CBA with the salary cap. Like, it's going to be bad. Like how Chris Paul got traded for Jordan Poole. You're going to see more big names getting traded for who's who. Like how that happened. So buckle up and get ready.
I love that move for the Boston Celtics. I thought Grant Williams was mid.
Be your mid of the week over Grant Williams?
I just was never impressed with Grant Williams. He was a Draymond Green wannabe. I never thought he was that much of an integral part of Boston. I thought people painted a narrative about him as being this guy. I never thought he was that guy. I think Dallas, it's brilliant for Boston to let Dallas go ahead and pony up. Because they can't draft very well. Dallas, that's why Dallas made
horrible
that move.
Horrible
at drafting. It makes sense for Dallas. It would make no sense for me if Boston kept him. I just think it was brilliant of Boston to get out. And why pay Grant Williams what you don't think he's worth? I think it was.
And they get some stuff back too, right?
Yeah.
So work down for Boston there. And quickly here, as we move on to some other quick stuff that's relevant to us here. Bol waived by the Magic. Signs with the Suns. Are we going to see some Bol next year in Phoenix?
You definitely want to see him in Phoenix.
You got to.
You think so?
I think they have to.
Yeah.
With that lineup, they're going to have to.
They don't have anybody else. They don't have any roster. They don't have a full roster.
And do you like that move for both parties? You like it for Phoenix and him?
I love it for Bol. I really hope that Bol
gets it.
Can finally get himself entrenched in the NBA because he's got all the skills. It's just always been durability, health, fitting the team dynamic. Like in Orlando, they kind of forced him in at times.
It was a weird.
I think
Orlando
this is a really good fit for
Orlando
him.
had too many bigs to begin with. Like Orlando was full of guards.
I couldn't get why. I didn't know why he got more minutes. Why he couldn't get more minutes with Orlando.
When you draft Paolo, he ain't giving minutes.
Paolo can run this show.
When you got Bombo on the roster as well, he's not giving minutes. He should have got
and Carter. Warren Carter was there. Yep.
Yeah, Carter gets.
But Bobo should have got him.
I think just a little.
He had a raw deal in Denver. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah. And after they signed him, right after the draft in the summer league, they signed him that contract. It was a little bit unprecedented at the time, I think.
Because at one point in time, he was playing better than MPJ. People don't want to acknowledge that.
We'll see what happens with him. It could be.
Skill set's there.
Yeah, it could be maybe a benefit there for the Suns. Again, that roster and that team is going to be interesting to keep up with next year. Again, they're coming out that the Bradley Beal going to be their primary point guard this year.
Right in my mouth.
Devin Booker obviously going to have some of that role too, but Bradley Beal going to be the designated point guard. What do you guys think, Phoenix?
How do you make a 30-point per game scorer your primary point guard? If anybody should have been Devin Booker being a primary
I thought so too. I thought Booker would have been a better fit. But either way, they trade campaign. We talked about maybe having a point guard on the roster. There are no point guards, I don't think, on the roster really.
They're going to sign a junior.
Is that going to be an issue though? Do you you think so? You can't just have 5-star. You can't throw Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and then be okay. What do you guys think?
I think the problem I have with Phoenix is I think they're being too damn smart for themselves. Because I think they've fallen into the trap of the positionless basketball. So on paper, it's like, oh yeah, we can just have guys play because they're all got the same kind of offensive skill set. We don't have to worry about offense. But this is what I will say. You've seen this with big men, and I think you're going to see it with this team. No one needs a center till you need a center. No one needs a point guard till you need a point guard. So yeah, on paper, you might be able to get through the regular season, but when you're in the playoffs and teams are taking away your guy's best way to set up, then you need a point guard. Then you're going to need somebody to come out there, organize guys, get guys in their best spots. As much as Bradley Beal, and I'm not a big Bradley Beal believer, I think he was a guy that averaged 30, but I don't think he's a 30-point scorer
on a good team.
Like Washington can play. You're like, well, I don't think, like, just as an example, I don't think Porzingis is going to put up those numbers in Boston. I think he'll be really good.
No, he can put numbers in Boston because
I don't think he's going to put up those numbers. What was numbers last year? 23 and
8?
Something like that. I can't
because
imagine him scoring
Boston
24 points a game.
Boston has always had 2 or 3 20-point scorers.
I think it's going to be Tatum and Brown. I can't. We'll see. I could be wrong.
Because Tatum's probably going to push.
I think he'll be good, but I don't think he'll be
because Tatum's probably going to push above that clip to 30 a game.
Agreed.
Brown consistently around between 24 and 27.
I think he'll be like 24. Yeah. So.
And Porzingis, he might drop to 21, 22, but he's going to be around his similar numbers because the offense is going to be the offense in Boston is a better fit than the offense in DC for Porzingis.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, Washington.
And remember, Boston is 3 happy. What does Porzingis do? Shoot threes. He's going to get about 8, 9 attempts a game from three-point line, and 4 of them are going to be uncontested. He can make those.
Yeah.
So that's why he's going to average similar numbers.
No. I feel the same way. I mean, I think Porzingis will do well in Boston. I think he'll do better in Boston than I think Beal will do in Phoenix.
Yes.
To me, again, and I got some people that are in the league that are around Phoenix, and we argue about this. I'm like, look, I get the logic behind it. I just don't think it's going to work for you when it really comes time to it. Because when we saw this last year when they played Denver, they had the best offensive players, but they were running them off the 3 and making them hit really hard mid-range shots. You can't beat a team just shooting mid-range shots.
No, I don't get the fact they don't have a true point guard. You said it's playmaking and knowing how to run a team shows his head in the playoffs. You need a real point guard to man the ship. You need a real point guard to settle everybody down. And they don't have that. And let's be honest, Brad Beal only has about 2 or 3 years of playoff experience. When those lights get hot, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. KD's going to have to be like OKC first-year Golden State KD for him to do anything.
And they're going to have to stay healthy. That's another big part for that.
And Ayton's going to have to stop crying and just step up and play basketball.
Again, you see, he came out today. He had another quote today in an interview on some magazine saying he's sick of how the world hates him, and he's going to change that.
No, we don't hate you. Just shut up and play basketball, bro.
Yeah, stop crying.
Like that's the way I would put it. Either,
like you are a former #1 pick. Shut up and be a #1 pick, dude.
Yeah.
Like they gave you the money. Now what's your problem?
Yeah, we know you're not going to be Doncic or Trae Young, but like man up.
He already has the bag. Prove why you got the bag, bro.
Right.
Like you already got the money.
Where's Phoenix finish in the regular season next year?
They're like top 4.
Yeah.
I think they're going to load. I don't think they're going to be worried. I mean, I think they'll still finish in the top 5. I just think they're going to be one of those teams where if they get in, I think they'll try to manage the health throughout the season. I don't think we'll see a lot of that. Maybe all those guys playing together.
You're going to need to get a better.
And I agree. I'm with you. I don't know. With that kind of depth, when I mean that kind of depth, I mean 0 depth. 0.
No, they don't have much depth.
0 depth.
No.
So if you lose one of those guys, if you lose Booker, Durant, or Beal, you might be in a little bit of trouble.
And let me just say this, and I think there's a lot of people that say they're smart basketball fans, and they're talking about, oh, well, Beal can do this. Like, they're forgetting that Beal didn't have the lights on him in Washington. That was John Wall.
Just that one playoff series.
That was John Wall.
Yeah,
and John Wall during that time was a dog. He was a beast. He was a problem defensively, offensively.
20 and 10 every year.
Yeah, 20 and 10 every year. He made Beal's job a lot easier. So, like, people are giving Beal all this credit, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to say Beal is not going to do well. We've never seen him in
play
the
a
system.
point fully.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. Definitely one of the
But I'll talk about
most
something.
interesting teams.
Frank Vogel has never really had a true point guard playing for any other teams either. He's used to this.
Yeah.
Which is why they're optimistic about how it could turn out. But he only had one championship to show for not having a true point guard. Because he had Darren Collison and
George Hill.
Malcolm Brogdon, George Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only true point guard he ever had was Rondo. On the Lakers.
It worked out, too, for them.
That worked out.
And I think in the NBA, we've seen that a point guard can make all the difference. So, like Milwaukee, when they won their title,
Drew Holiday was amazing.
Drew Holiday was amazing.
Both sides of the floor.
Now, I heard about that rumor about trading Drew Holiday for Harden.
I heard that, too. I just don't. Milwaukee, I would think would have no interest in that.
Terrible.
Right? Like, I don't know why they would. I'm sure they're reading that article and laughing at that one.
I did hear that.
That's crazy.
Quickly here, Dante signs with the Knicks, DiVincenzo. So we've got a little Villanova thing going over up in Madison Square Garden. Mikal Bridges, he's in Brooklyn too, so they're all hanging up. All the Villanova cats up.
Again, the Knicks got another guard. Wow.
Yeah.
Next.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, no other relevant stuff.
They don't need guards. They need a scoring big man.
Shout out to Sally's.
like we Dante, we love you. Like you Delaware, we love you, but how much of a difference is he gonna make in that offense? Is he gonna get hurt again because of tears running everybody in the hole?
I mean, I think he'll be good for New York, but even if he's good, what does that do for, where does that push the Knicks?
Makes you a
Not doesn't really
3 seed?
move the needle. Yeah, I mean, he's a good signing for him, I think.
We do love Bones more, though.
Busy, not to mention he's got his game going on this Saturday. This Saturday, a couple games going on.
There you go.
We're going to try to get there to see if we could do a little broadcast. We'll see how that goes. But as of right now, you can go and check it out. I think at the Field House.
Yeah. And the tickets are free, so if you register for them now,
go
they're
check
free.
it out. Got a lot of high school kids that we've been covering here the last couple of years will be playing in it, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, if you're Ken and Abel, make sure you make it out there. Shout out Busy Bones Highland. And let's talk now about the Summer League. Cavs won that Summer League championship last night. It was a nice long couple weeks in Vegas. We got to see some of these rookies that we had been anticipating from the draft. Matt, we'll talk to you here about some of these guys soon. But let's touch quickly. Cavs win it. Amani Bates showing what he can do for the Cavaliers, averaging 17.6 rebounds, 40% from beyond the arc. He held that trophy last night. We had a little bit of Amani Bates talk last time we were on the show.
Yes, we did.
What do you guys think? Obviously, we don't, not a big headline of Amani Bates, but we like to touch on it. Looked pretty good in that run. Isaiah Mobley looked great, too.
He did. Yeah, Mobley put in a lot of work in that game. But also, the kid from Utah State, Sam Morrell, he was lights out. Yeah. I mean, he just couldn't miss. I think he was the guy that was really killing it in the Summer League in that championship game. He just couldn't miss. But yeah, I'm happy that Bates can get some positivity going to the season. But like I tell everybody, it's Summer League. Like I'm not gonna take it that serious. I mean, I see some people out there on Twitter putting together clips and saying this is why this guy's gonna be. It's like, bro, it's Summer League.
Well,
Ben Simmons was shooting threes in his Summer League. Summer League debut, man.
I will say this.
Take it with a grain of salt.
I'm a little bit high. I mean, we're equally as high on Imani Bates, but I do think that he probably will crack the rotation in Cleveland because it gives you a different dynamic. And what the game is about now is all about dynamics and matchup problems you can present. So I'm just happy that he's sticking to his plan of going to the NBA and proving himself to be a better person than what he's been perceived to be and letting his game talk for him.
Yeah,
and
17 points a game.
I commend him because he's been, let's put it out there, he's been through a lot.
Been through a ton.
Self-inflicted and otherwise, he's been through a lot.
Yep.
But for him to still show up and show the way that he's shown up, I have nothing but respect for Imani Bates. And they're gonna have a problem in a couple years because do you pay both of the Mobleys? Do you pay Imani Bates? They're gonna have a problem with bigs down 3 years down the line.
They're gonna have an interesting couple
and you said Donovan Mitchell.
Too.
You know, you gotta pay
Darius Garland.
And again, all of these names
Jared
have kind of been
Allen,
floated around in different trade talks too every now and then after the way they performed in the playoffs this past year.
Not to be too far down the road, but at some point they're probably gonna have to either trade Evan Mobley or Mitchell again at some point to get some.
I'll trade Mitchell.
I think they trade one of those guys too.
I think I'll trade Mitchell.
But great summer league showing. But I think Ken Whitmore actually had a really good summer league.
He did.
There we go. Again, the disrespect on draft day for Cam Whitmore. Didn't understand it. and he really showed that he should have been that lottery pick or maybe that top 5 pick that some people anticipated. 19.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, the 2.5 steals was the big thing defensively, how that was going to transition from Villanova. Great for the Cats, and then he showed that here, taking Houston, one of those talented Summer League teams. They played the Cavs last night in that championship game. Whitmore was named the MVP of the Summer League, so a phenomenal showing for him. I know he had a lot to prove coming out of that draft, Matt. We had maybe thought 4 or 5, as high as 4 or 5 maybe, but there was some talk on that day slipping in the top 10. Nobody really anticipated 20. What do you think of Cam Whitmore?
It goes to my evaluation. I had him going 5th to Detroit. I heard all the same thing. I said there's no way he'll get past 10, you know. And I thought if he goes down to like 8 or 9, I think, oh, that's a steal. This isn't just a steal. This is like highway robbery. Like, to get a guy that could potentially be one of the top 5 players in the draft at 20 is insane to me. And I know people are going to say, well, it's Houston. Houston's a mess. I would say last year, that would be accurate. Whether people like what he did or not in Boston matters none. Ime Udoka's going to come in there. He's going to give them somewhat of an identity.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Going to start giving a little bit more discipline. I think they still got to make some addition by subtraction. I think guys like Kevin Porter got to go.
Took out my mouth, Babble.
Yeah.
KBJ.
I knew you were waiting to say something the way you were
He got to go.
He got to go.
He got to go. I think they got to build the team more around Sengun and have Jalen Green kind of work off that. I think Jalen Green's a superstar. I think Cam Whitmore will be a really good
Jabari,
complement.
touch on him, right?
Yeah, Jabari was incredible in Summer League.
It's still Summer League.
Yeah, still Summer League, yeah.
But that's what you expect to see, right? Like those second-year guys.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
supposed
when I
to
see a
come in and
second-year guy
dominate.
kill like that, that just makes you feel good. Same thing with Keegan Murray from Sacramento.
Sure,
he was killing
yeah,
it.
he was.
He should have been on the court. That was unfair what he was doing out there.
That's like some of those.
No, it was really like it was so unfair what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I thought Chet took him a little bit to get going after that
did.
year up, but he looked good once he settled in, man.
Chet looked really
I
good.
mean, he was blocking every shot imaginable. Jalen Duren looked really good for Detroit. I mean, these sophomores,
Shout
that's
out
what you want to
Newcastle.
see, right? Yeah, that's what you want to see out of those sophomore guys, right, coming into their second year.
Or speaking of rookies coming in, because let's talk about Keegan's twin brother Chris had a great summer league for Portland.
Did.
Like that's gonna be interesting what they do with all those guards.
Yeah.
You got Simons, you got Mary, you got
Sharp.
Scoot,
Sharp,
baby, I'll
you
tell you
got-
what, Scoot looked really good in those
15
minutes before
until
he got hurt.
Until he couldn't play anymore, you know.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But let's talk a little bit about the guy that really stood out to me also, Keontae George from Baylor for the Jazz. You know, I loved him at Baylor. 21.7 points per game, led all the rookies in scoring, 6 assists, and shot 44% from 3. He lost some weight, was 215 at Baylor, down to around 190 now, which was his high school weight. He says he feels a lot better, and he really looked at to kick it off for the Jazz.
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy that I had earlier in the season higher, but you know, I just figured
They didn't perform well down the stretch.
Yeah, there was talk about his conditioning, talk about the way he was forcing shots at Baylor. Really, I think he was fighting with Adam Flagler, who was the other guard there.
Flagler likes to launch him up there too.
Yeah, so I think they had a really bad setup there in Baylor. Unlike, I mean, usually Drew, the coach there, does a much better job setting up an offense, but it really wasn't conducive for George there. I think he's better. I think he's one of these guys that's better in the pros than he is in college. He has that game that's just better for the league, I think. Yeah.
And Jason, we got to talk about the name of Summer League. It's been the talk for the last year. We've been talking about it. The best prospect on paper since they said LeBron James. That's the 7'3.5" Victor Wembanyama. A month or two ago, we had a discussion. It came out, and this was an actual report. He wasn't going to play in the Summer League, so we were like, oh, you know what? Didn't expect him to play. That narrative changed. Popovich signs an extension. We see Wembanyama. He gets 2 games here in the Summer League. A big struggle in that opening game. His first time playing, really, I guess, at that speed, you could argue. And then second game looked a lot better, Jason. But we all were talking after that first game. What did you think of what you saw out of Victor Wembanyama as opposed to what you thought you might see?
I'll talk about the second game.
Yeah, go ahead.
Those numbers, those are padded stats. Portland had nobody over 6'10" guarding him in that game in the Summer League. That's everything right now with Wemby is fool's gold. He's playing against Summer League talent. He's playing against European talent. He has not seen any physicality, and for him to stupidly say
you heard that too.
That the other league is more physical than the NBA.
I'm glad he said. I think so.
Because the problem is this: He was being pushed around by guards in summer league.
Brandon Miller backed him down.
Brandon Miller, Sharp was pushing him around. Like even going for rebounds and loose balls, he was getting bullied by 6'7" and 6'8" people. What is he going to do when he has to actually go against like an AD, an Embiid?
Oh, Embiid's going to eat.
I mean, heck, I even give you a Brook or Robin Lopez, and they battled that on the same team in Milwaukee. Like, and
oh my goodness! Sorry, Ron, I read the wrong thing. Continue.
And the Joker's going to run circles around him. like we're talking about anybody that's above 230 weight-wise is going to push him around the whole season.
Now, and again, when we talked about here, we sat up, kind of thought, we talked about his transition, what he might be able to do, what come to him more naturally. I mentioned the mobility. He did look a little wonky out there at times, a little bit out of place. But we talked about the shot blocking and the rim protection. We knew that was going to be one of the easiest transitions for him, and it showed. 4 blocks a game. He did swat a lot of shots, as Jason mentioned. The summer league, and as you say, you take it with a grain of salt. Some of these guys are throwing up crazy shots and just trying to, get some shots up. So he did have 4 blocks a game. Just how do you feel? Like, do you feel any different than you did when he came in? What did you expect as to now? Better, worse? What do you think?
Wemby isn't a big man, and that's the real problem.
And that's why they didn't list him as this. He listed as a
That's the
forward.
problem. Wemby is not a big man. That's going to be a problem in San Antonio. He's not a big man.
But again, the Spurs,
he can block shots,
and they labeled him as a forward.
But he's not a big man. He's really a tall 3.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to play. I think they're going to play him.
And he models game after Kevin Durant, but he doesn't have that shot.
And he doesn't have it to me, and I guess it'll come
or the
with
handle.
The fluidness and the smoothness.
So to me, he looks more Porzingis early on than anybody. Like the height comparison, the way the game is set up, Porzingis is a better jumper from deep. I see more Porzingis than I see KD in Wemby's game right now. I see a lanky 3-4. I see him in that. I don't see him ever really playing the 5. So everybody, he's a big man.
I don't think he will either.
He's not that. And even when he gains weight, it's not going to look like on his frame. He can add 20 pounds of muscle, still going to look like he's 170, although he's already 220.
And we saw that with Chet. Chet put on, 15, 20 pounds. Yeah. He looked a little bigger, but you can tell it's a little bit different.
So with Wemby, it's going to be a matter of, dude, you're going to have to, your core and your lower body are going to have to be super strong to stay in this league and stay away from the foot and back ankle problems of big men like you mentioned before.
And again, they've already said there are rumors, again, these are all rumors, they're going to load manage him during the regular season. I don't think they're going to have much to play for next year. You would imagine, right, Matt, they'll be in the top, maybe 7 in the lottery again next year.
They're taking on purpose.
Yeah, so, I mean, when he comes down to it, we'll see how many games he plays next year. What do you think, what kind of impact do you think he's going to have here in his rookie season?
I think his impact mainly going to be felt on the defensive side.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, look, he has length. He has the ability to cover some good ground. But what people don't want to talk about, and what irritated me about Victor is, where was this moxie when Kai Jones banged on you? And that's one guy in Summer League, and Kai Jones don't even get off the bench, really, in regular games. This was like Kai Jones, and I'm a big fan of Kai Jones coming out of Texas a couple years ago. But like Kai Jones is still figuring it out.
Oh, yeah.
But that level of athleticism that he saw, that's
just Kai Jones.
That's just Kai Jones. There's a lot of guys.
Wait until John.
That's what he didn't see overseas.
No, he didn't see, and he got actually put in the rim overseas by some guy named Balvin, who was a Golden State. I think it was a 2-way contract a couple years ago. Like, he wasn't a guy that was a big time prospect. He got put in the rim, and that was, it's like, dude, guys are gonna put you in the rim in this league. So you can sit around and you can have your little gold, your little crystal that you put on your neck during the draft. It was cute. And your sister is fine, Shout out to his sister. I'm sure her DMs are blowing up. But like real talk. Like, look, man. Like, I like the moxie. I like the fact that you think you're that guy. But look, man, this is the NBA, bro. Guys like you come in every year, and these guys are gonna put you on that board because you not only you got the #1 pick, but you're also what you said, and that you've been the most hyped prospect since LeBron James. So everybody's going to go out of their way to test you. And everybody knows they're shot blockers, and we've seen it. If you say I'm a shot blocker and I cover, every dunker in the league is going to be like, I'm putting him on a poster.
Listen, that's going to be Josh's first poster next season. whenever he gets back. Josh's first
So
poster,
25 games in.
Josh's first poster is going to be Wemby, and it's going to be a real bad one too.
And some of the people around him said in that first game he struggled a little bit, and then somebody hit him in the face, and that kind of turned him on. They said he has like a switch. This is what people around him are saying. He has a switch, and he can turn it on, I guess, when he wants. He needs a little beating. Again, I wasn't too impressed. I kind of saw what I expected to see a little bit. I think he will be good down the line. Just to me, he looked it was more of like the flow of the game. He looked lost. He didn't know, kind of like he was in the wrong spot. The game was a little too fast for him. I think he'll catch up a little bit with that. But again, he just doesn't have the smoothness. And he could get better that I thought, he might have a little.
He wasn't drafted number 1 to be good.
He's drafted number 1 to be generational. And that's why I feel bad for him. Not to cut you off, Jason. But if he doesn't become a top 10 player
like
of all time.
Durant-esque, right? Like over better, yeah.
He has to be great. Like he has to be like generational. He has to be like otherworldly. And if he doesn't come anywhere close to that, it's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Rookie of the year, who you guys got? Is it Wemby? Obviously the favorite now. What do you think? The favorite in Vegas is Wembanyama.
If I had to choose
Scoot is 2.
a rookie of the year right now, honestly, it's going to be a 2-man race between Cam and Brandon Miller.
And I'll tell you, and I'm going to give you another one here who's eligible for Rookie of the Year. I think Chet Holmgren is going to give, I think, a run for the money for Rookie of the Year this year, too.
Those 3, Cam Whitmore, Brandon Miller, Chet Holmgren will be my top 3 for Rookie of the Year.
What do you think, Matt? Rookie of the Year?
Chet, Scoot, and then Victor. Because I don't think Victor's going to have to do much.
That would be my 3 in
If he
that
gets
order.
9 and 9, people are like, oh my God, this guy,
And again, we'll see how much he plays.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can adapt to the game. Obviously, everybody's anticipating that he will. And we'll see how it goes. But again, us 3, and I think, including Dennis, weren't as high on him coming in as the next generational prospect. And again, I don't think anything we saw changed our minds here in the last few weeks. Let's now head over to quickly talk about Damian Lillard. We talked about James Harden. Lillard, some of the things coming out and saying he won't play for any team but the Miami Heat. He came out and pretty much said, hey, that's not true. Don't believe everything you hear. What do you guys think about Damian Lillard? Is it the Heat or bust? Is he going anywhere else but Miami come this season?
I think it's going to be so bad where he doesn't even end up in Miami.
Think he'll stay? Well, you think they'll hold on?
No, he's going to get traded still, but it will end up being Miami. It's probably going to be.
I hope it's not, just because we've gotten this far now.
Well, it might be Philly.
We'll see. And let me, and again, put your sterile Morey caps on here again, just for this scenario. You obviously, Joel Embiid, you would argue, is in the back half of his prime, as you mentioned, Matt. Do you want Damian Lillard? How many years? What do you think? 2 or 3 years with the Damian Lillard? He's making $65 million
He can
on the
restructure that.
second or third year of this
can restructure
contract.
that.
$65 million for a 34, 35 at the time, 35-year-old point guard on your team. So do you make that move? Do you give up Maxey? Do you give up the stuff to bring in Lillard and try to give him and Embiid a chance to win?
You don't have to give up Maxey to get Damian Lillard. That's the thing.
I wouldn't do it, but I think
you can give up. You can give up Harden.
They don't want Harden.
Tobias Harris.
No.
Aspiring contract.
No, you can literally give up Harden, Tobias.
So you would have to trade Harden somewhere else, get the assets, and then use those to Portland.
You can trade Harden, Tobias, Montrez, and probably like 2 picks, and actually get Dame in Philly.
We'll see how it shapes up.
And that will work still with Dame and
apparently
Maxey
they
and
want
Embiid.
they want picks and they want good players.
They're not
everybody
gonna get that.
That's what everybody says every year.
They're not going to get that. Not going to get both.
So where does he end? Where do you think he ends? You're saying Philly? You think that's where it'll be?
I really do think Philly's going to end up with Dame Lillard.
It's got to be a contender. It's going to be either Philly or it's going to be Miami. I like both those scenarios. But I'll say this. Portland, they have to realize the hand they've been given. Whether people like it or not, look, bro, you're not going to get the same with what you're given. You're not going to get a franchise guy back for a franchise guy.
Especially when he demands a trade. You have to trade.
It's not happening anymore. The guy you're going to get is probably a guy that's like a Harden, that's like a Tobias Harris. You're not getting the same level of assets. And you're Portland, you want draft picks. So you can't have both. You're either going to get one or the other. And the rumor has been it's Tyler Hero and some draft picks in Miami. So if Miami's giving only Hero and a couple of draft picks, to Jason's point, I don't know how much more Philly would need to sweeten the pot because, Hero's one guy, and I like Hero's upside, but if you give him Harden, and what's the difference there?
I'm not big on Hero, though.
And neither is Portland.
That's just.
They prefer Maxey over Hero.
Well, I prefer Maxey over Hero too.
And me too. And here's the funny part: Miami came out today, and I don't know. Obviously, this is what somebody got a quote from internally. Says they view Tyler Hero as a better prospect than Tyrese Maxey, and that's from Miami. So shocking,
sure.
Shocking to hear Miami come out and say, "Well, we think Tyler Hero is a better prospect than Tyrese Maxey." I think that's absurd.
What are they watching? Old film from Kentucky?
Yeah. I don't know why even come out and say that. They must really be panicking. They must really be thinking we need to do something here to get this train moving. Let's just try to amp up Tyler Hero.
There's no metric, advanced metrics either. People who are stat nerds out there know the advanced metrics I'm talking about. PER, win shares. There's nothing that there's no metric really that stands out that says Tyler Hero is a better prospect than Maxey.
I don't think he's a better three-point shooter statistically. So I mean,
they're about even with that.
Yeah, they're about even.
But that's that'd be the one area you would think Hero might have the upper hand.
I will say this: Hero has the ability to get more hot from three than Maxey at this point, but Maxey can create amazingly.
But is that just a product of the offense that Doc Rivers was running?
Well, sure.
I think we'll see more of.
I think
we'll see a lot better Maxey.
Are you saying Doc Rivers is the Greg Roman of the NBA?
Oh.
Hey.
That's going to take us, though, into our NFL situation. That's a good transition there. We're going to start off here with a big signing, somebody that we've been waiting to sign, one of the big receivers, last one really on the market, DeAndre Hopkins, heading to the Tennessee Titans.
You can throw that away right now.
Guys, he wanted that 2-year deal. Nobody wanted to give him, I think, that 2-year deal. The Titans did. They gave him 2 years now on this contract.
Just put dirt on that, man.
Is that
it's done. So
no difference. The Titans aren't better. Titans aren't better today than they were
yesterday.
Go to die, man.
Right? Where they go to die.
It's over, man. It's over.
Randy Moss, Andre Johnson,
Julio
Jones. That's going to be the next receiver to die.
Ryan, I'm second in command mid. Tannehill is going to just bury that man.
Who's more mid, Tannehill or Kirk
Tannehill.
Cousins?
Tannehill.
Yeah, it's not close.
It's Tannehill.
But I tell you what, the difference between Tannehill and Kirk Cousins, though, when Derrick Henry is running good, Tannehill wins.
When Dalvin Cook is running good,
he ain't got Dalvin Cook no more.
Yeah, nobody.
I don't know what Minnesota's doing.
Madison, they got Madison.
Yeah, they got Madison, but I don't know if
I don't like that.
He's all right, but he's not real. I don't know.
So, again, we'll see who the quarterback is in Tennessee.
He's good.
It could be Tannehill. They said Malik Willis is outperforming Will Levis. So Willis,
that's no shock.
But it's no shock to us, but everybody around the country, I think, there was words they were going to cut Malik Willis. Remember we had this conversation a month or two ago? It was crazy.
Will Levis in but Tim Couch in a Titans uniform.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Again, so that's why some of the reasons we're really looking forward to the preseason. We'll get to
Shout
see
out his
Will
girlfriend.
Levis. We'll get to see how he performs. Training camp for the Jets got underway yesterday. The first NFL team to report to training camp.
Knocks.
They're going to be on Hard Knocks this year. Guys, how excited are you? And will you be tuning in to Hard Knocks with the JETS Jets?
It's like watching paint dry. Why would I do that?
No.
Now, is that every year or just because the Jets are on it?
Because the Jets are on it. Yeah.
The Jets.
I don't really care for Aaron Rodgers much as a person.
I'm an Aaron Rodgers hater. It's been publicly noted for some time.
The only person I like on the Jets is Breece Hall and the very talented wideout they got.
Garrett Wilson. And
Garrett Wilson.
I'm with you there. I like the defense. We'll see. Jason, they're getting a lot of talk since they got Aaron Rodgers, a lot of talk about winning the division. And I think it's going to be a lot harder than that. Are they going to win the division?
That division ain't hard to win, though.
You don't think so, really?
No, because I think you have friction in Buffalo, which was going to cause everything else to fall
because of Diggs?
Yeah. Like, I think that team's going to, fall apart this year.
Really?
Chemistry-wise?
I've got Buffalo winning the division.
I don't.
I don't trust Tua in Miami.
I think
it's
Josh
come out of
Allen.
Buffalo and Miami, and I don't trust Tua.
I think Josh Allen's glass slipper is starting to break.
Yeah,
so you think
he's going to
injury,
regress.
or do you think
I think he's going to regress.
He's going to regress again. He's going to regress again. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he can regress anymore.
He can throw more interceptions.
That's it. No. He turned the ball over. Wait, if he turns the ball over more this year than he did last year,
he's the white Cam Newton. It's gonna be. That's not disrespect to Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton's better. But I'm just saying
MVP. Cam Newton's MVP.
Similar trajectory, high and then fall.
Yes.
So
because Cam was such a physical being. He's less physical, Cam, but you're starting to see now that teams are caught up.
Steinfeld now. Him and his girl broke up. He's got a celebrity.
Well, I just think. With him, we saw him go when Diggs landed. When Diggs landed, that's when Josh Allen took off. Yeah. Now that there's friction there and they still don't have a running game, Like, bro, I just don't.
That is,
That's
we
the
talked
thing.
about
they
that a lot
can't
last
keep winning
year.
without a running game. It's not going to happen. It's like we said earlier about having a true point guard in the playoffs.
Yeah,
in
right.
the NBA.
Right.
In the NFL and playoffs, you need a running back to tote the ball 20, 25 times.
Devin
So let me ask you
Singletary
this,
getting
Jen,
it, man.
and again,
Yeah,
they
James
added
Cook,
some
that
guys
Davenport,
here.
bro.
Those
Yeah,
guys
Davenport, bro.
James Cook, I think, is going to have a good year. I think he'll be better.
They won't trust him.
Right, that's the issue. We'll see if they give him the ball. Latavius Murray signs with the Bills. Damian Harris signs
Latavius
with
Murray?
the Bills. Yes, goal line back, baby.
Come on, man. Where's Tolbert at? We need Mike Tolbert.
Latavius Murray,
Mike Allstott.
Yeah, Mike Allstott.
Wait. Latavius Murray in the NFL.
Yes,
still in the NBA.
look how many touchdowns he scored last year.
Well, I mean, he played for us a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But he's still in the NFL.
James,
Wow.
but I'm telling you, I think with Damian Harris, I think that was the big. I think obviously
Where's
not like over
Adrian
the top,
Peterson?
but I think. Oh, geez, yeah,
We need
really.
Frank
he's got-
Gore back.
But I think they added some running back help. I don't.
He played with the Bills his last team.
He did.
He played with the Bills.
Frank
I
Gore.
don't think it's enough to put them over the top though. Who you guys have to win the division? Again, I'll go with the Bills. Who do you guys win the division then?
Miami won the division.
Miami. I do
going
like
Jets.
the addition. I think Miami has the best team, but for me, it comes down to the quarterback. I don't trust Tua.
I'm going Jets.
Jets. So he is going to go.
I
with
think
the
it
Jets.
all hinges on that O-line.
Okay.
If
Okay.
Becton can stay healthy, that O-line's going to be.
Kai Becton.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
man.
Hell, if Breece Hall can stay healthy the whole season.
Yeah, Brees Hall too. Yeah,
And that's the
Brees
thing, though.
Hall's
These,
special.
and I'm a huge Brees Hall guy. I had him last year in multiple fantasy leagues
I did
coming
too.
out of Iowa State. It was unreal for the first
my
couple weeks, man. He
God.
had us riding high for the first
I
couple
was
weeks.
riding so high.
And then,
I have a hot take.
Oh Lord.
We talked about quarterbacks and not playing and doing that, this and the third.
Yeah.
When we go back to Tennessee Titans, when you have three quarterbacks who are,
mid?
I ain't gonna say
Trash is right. Yeah. Trash.
Is mid being nice?
do the Titans trade for Zach Wilson? Because he's not gonna play in New York.
Well, do you think Zach Wilson?
No,
Zach
Zach
better than
Wilson's
Malik
mid.
Willis?
Get Zach Wilson out of here, man.
We bring his mom.
Shout out to his mom though. But Zach Wilson is, yo, man, get him out of here, bro.
So we're talking about the Titans, correct?
Yeah, do they go get somebody like
I
that?
tell you, who can take Zach Wilson.
I don't know. There's rumors they're going to trade
49ers.
Derrick Henry.
He looked good in San Fran.
I think he looked good in San Fran.
He'd be a Cal. He's a West Coast guy.
Yeah. We would do well with Zach Wilson because we don't need you to do much. Just throw.
Or does he go to L.A. and the Rams because Stafford ain't gonna be there too much longer?
I heard they tried to get out of that contract
They got started last year.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Again, he wins the Super Bowl, then they're trying to get out of the contract. I think the injury stuff must be pretty
That
bad.
was, you're only going to get 2 or 3 good years out of Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford, you starting to hit that mid, boy.
Yeah,
In
heading
that
to Kirk
mid
Cousins
plane,
territory.
boy. He's in that mid VIP
Quickly
section.
though, on
running
Brees
back.
Hall, speaking of the running backs and Brees Hall,
Yeah.
coming off that ACL, again, these running backs, that first year back from these ACLs, they do not perform well. I'll be staying away from him, and again,
Unless
not his fault.
unless
but
you're
just,
AP.
yeah, unless you're Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Steroids, that's what
So we'll see.
yeah.
But again,
Well,
we
dear
got to
Antler,
talk
right?
about the state of the running back position here in the NFL. There's
Yeah.
been a giant group text going on with all the running backs. They're trying to figure out ways to get paid because as of right now, guys, it is not happening. Todd Gurley got that deal for $15 million about 4 or 5 years ago, and since then he got injured, and now the coaches and the owners, nobody's getting paid the running back position. Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the league last year. Josh Jacobs led the NFL in rushing last year. Both did not get new contracts at the deadline. They're going to have to play if they choose to on the franchise tag, which is about $10 million for Josh Jacobs. I'm not sure of the exact number for Saquon. It's along those lines as well.
It's like $10 million right now.
Yeah,
on
like
Saquon,
so. What's going on with the running back position here?
This has been happening for like 10 years now, and it finally stopped. It finally came to a head because the last real big running back contract is actually Zeke Elliott, and now he's cut. So Todd Gurley and Zeke Elliott got contracts they shouldn't have gotten on their second deal. And the NFL is like, you know what? We're not really going to pay you guys anymore. But this has been running backs better get drafted in the first round now. So, and everybody's going to a tandem system. So you're not going to have a primary feature back anymore. The last real feature back in the NFL was Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like, and he probably only has another 2 or 3 years left at max, like, star power potential as far as him running the ball, because you can't run 350 times a game in this NFL. The linebackers are too fast, the defensive linemen are too fast, and it's a pass-happy league. You're only running the ball with play action in the NFL now, which is why running backs are not at a premium as it used to be.
You're like irreplaceable at this point almost. I mean,
That's-
the formula
plug and
is
play. You just run.
draft them, you play them, you franchise tag them for a year if you have to, and then you don't sign them. Once that contract's up, you let him walk. That seems to
Even
be the new thing.
Tony Pollard,
No
that was an
contract.
extension, no contract.
Yep.
So
And
he
that's
had
what makes you
$1,000 last
think.
year.
You got to think that they've all, you want to say collusion in some way, but they've all obviously have come to some sort of agreement that they're not going to pay any running backs.
And let's not forget McCaffrey's contract that started this mess too.
So we'll see how that goes. What do you think?
Well, the problem is the NFL has created a brand of football that requires, and I hate to use this, but it's the best word I can use, requires less talent to play the position now. What I mean by that is when we were growing up, you got your first round running back and they were special. They were usually cut above everybody else. You had a few guys that were busts, but for the most part, you didn't get all these guys that were in the late rounds that did well. Yeah, you had your Terrell Davis, yeah, you had your Jamal Andersons, but for the most part, the first round guys were really hitting. The Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire first round. Then they drafted Ivan Pacheco, seventh round. Pacheco's killing it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the problem is that this era of the NFL, to Jason's point, because the run lanes are more open now, because defenses are setting up, they're playing the zone, they're playing the wideouts more because it's a pass-happy league. Oh, dude, you can go ahead and get that 5 yards. So now, getting those yardage, so a 1,500-yard back in this era is like 1,000-yard back back in the day. Like we were kids. We remember getting 1,000 yards rushing for a running back was like that
gold.
was
Yeah,
that
Like
was
when
gold.
Chris Johnson 2K, 2,000.
CJ,
That was,
2K,
whew, man. Yeah,
Right,
that was next
1,500
level.
yards isn't the same in this era, and unfortunately, I feel bad for these backs, but like this is the way of the game. I mean, look at the NBA. I mean, centers are at all time
Obsolete.
low. Yeah, most centers are now converted power forwards. So like that's the thing. Like I feel bad for these guys, but to Jason's point, the guys that have gotten the bag, and look, no disrespect, but they fumbled the bag. So every owner is sitting there like, well, why would I want to pay you all this money? We just saw these other guys get paid, and they didn't hold up very well. So they're like, dude, we'll just draft a Pacheco in the 7th round, or we'll hit some guy in the 6th round. That's what they do now.
Yeah. And it seems, you can't argue with, it seems to be working a little bit.
Like Brees Hall was a 2nd round guy.
Yeah.
And they're bringing up scout team running backs and their starters now.
Starting.
Yeah.
And to the Jets, to Jason's point, they have a tandem. Michael Carter, who they got in the 3rd round, he shares time with Brees Hall, who they got in the 2nd round. Like very few teams are going in the 1st round for backs anymore.
And very few teams, like I said, have a featured back.
Yeah.
It's always a tandem now.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Baltimore, yes, J.K. Dobbins is the one, but you have 1A with Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
You had
Look at
one,
San Fran. We got McCaffrey and Mitchell now.
and you had 1B Baltimore last year with Kenyon Drake coming in and scoring touchdowns. Like nobody is just going to play one running back again unless you're like Tennessee or the Raiders, or even. I mean,
Look at the Eagles. They got 3 backs:
Eagles
Penny, Swift.
Well, Eagles haven't had.
We'll see how many of those make it through the season.
Well, the Eagles haven't had a real running back since Westbrook. That's another story another day.
And I'll say this: I think also what needs to happen with some of these backs is, I think they have to. I hate to say this. I think they might have to say like, I can't play next game. I'm not feeling well, or I have this. I'm dinged up because Jacobs, for example, 389 carries I think he had last year or something like. It was something crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, and to Jason's point, you got linebackers now running 4, 5s. Like, bro, you're getting hit harder. And these backs are now doing double duty because now they're catching the ball, which they never did in the past. They're catching the ball, 30 or 40 times in a season, getting 300-400 yards receiving. So, like, yeah, man, the burnout rate is just higher now, man.
Saquon came out today. He said, I don't want to, but he said if it comes down to it, he will sit out the season. Coming up, we'll see if Jacobs does the same. Because again, they have not.
He ain't in a position to do that.
And they're acting like they're not going to sign that franchise tag. So we'll see how it goes. I know it was shocking to hear because they had the video. I got to watch the whole clip today.
Saquon needs training camp to strengthen his knee, and he needs to play in the season to prove he's worth the money. He can't afford financially or physically to sit out.
Yeah,
He
I
said
think
if it comes
Saquon's
down
in
to
a
it, he'll sit out.
good position though, because he did get injured. He's like Le'Veon Bell, where he got injured
Talk
a couple
about
times.
the biggest mistake. That's the biggest mistake.
Should've stayed in Pittsburgh.
In running back history was Le'Veon Bell trying to demand that money and not re-signing with the Steelers.
But the Steelers were going to pay him.
They were going to pay a decent amount. He wanted even more than that, which was now you look back on it now, they're getting less than what you're talking about.
Le'Veon Bell's style of running was based on that offensive line. He
Yeah.
tried to run that same way in New York, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
I just think like his career just complete nosedive. Just from being one of the best players in the league to just being completely off the face of the earth.
That whole Pittsburgh offense of those
Killer
years.
bees, man. They were good.
Look what they did after he left.
Yeah.
Everybody went downhill.
Yeah, but it also proved how good he was.
Yeah.
Because Connor, he did it for 1 year.
Yeah.
After that, that's it.
And that was it, bro.
Yeah.
You done burn out. Like,
Najee Harris is barely doing it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So hopefully he
so-
can keep that up. Hopefully he gets healthy this year for them.
Yep.
Quickly, not going to spend much time on this. The Cowboys, a few things. I don't like Dallas. Zach Martin wants a new deal. CeeDee Lamb wants a new deal. Dak wants a new. Everybody wants a new deal. They're not paying anybody yet. We'll see how
the
that
10
goes.
picks is hilarious.
Yeah,
though.
Dak guarantees less than double-digit interceptions this year. With a new offensive coordinator in Dallas, Mike McCarthy will be calling the plays. What do you guys think?
Is he playing Madden on PS5?
I can't stand Mike McCarthy. I don't mean that on a personal level. I think he's one of the most overrated
He's
coaches.
the most
there.
mid coach of all time.
He's the Doc Rivers of NFL coaches.
Oh, man. It's right, Doc. They both got a title.
both got a
Dennis,
title.
give us your question of the day. We have not seen this. This is going to be news to us. We're going to have a little conversation about it. Dennis, what do you got for us here on a Wednesday?
Ooh, I'm with it.
Ooh.
I'm with it.
Ooh.
I'm with it. And you
This-
know who I'm going to say you should trade?
That's not good.
Yes. Get him out of here.
This is actually this is a real possibility now.
Yes.
Should the Phillies trade for Shohei Ohtani?
Yes.
But it
Yes.
has nothing to do with any of their starters
Give
now.
Bryce Harper
It
the-
would be that's just ridiculous.
Get him outta
It
here.
would be a prospect trade.
That would be
They have a couple guys on the prospect list. They have the #1 overall pitching prospect in baseball, and Andrew Painter was announced today. He'll have Tommy John surgery, so that kind of hurts his trade value. They've got 4 other good prospects that they could use in this deal, plus maybe a player or
Bryce
two. What do you guys think? Ohtani, will he get traded? Will he get traded? And
He
who do you
will
think he
get
gets
traded.
Will get traded.
Listen, I don't care where Ohtani goes. He just can't go to the Yankees.
Oh, please no.
Like he can go anywhere but New York. I don't
I
care.
don't
where
want him
he
to go to the
gets traded.
Dodgers either, though.
I mean, they're an international team. I mean, that makes more sense than play on the
I don't like the Yankees or the Dodgers, but yeah, I think.
I don't think anywhere but New York.
And again, he would be potentially a rental, a free agent at the end of the year. So that's kind of been the big thing is we've never seen a player of his caliber, the best player, maybe they're saying in the history of baseball, to be traded for. Well, that's what they're saying.
calm down.
So it would be obviously a historical package you would have to give up to get him.
Which
And it
is
could-
why Bryce Harper works.
And it
Get
could
him
only-
out of here.
The money matches.
The money matches. Get Bryce Harper out of here. I'm starting a website called
That's how
Bryce
you know
Harper
the show
Buy.
is coming to a close.
BryceHarperBuy.com. We're going to do a petition. We're going to get him out of here for Ohtani.
I think they should do it. I'm more of a guy. I like prospects. I do. I think the roster looks good. I would give them up, bring in Ohtani, give them the best
So
chance
you
to win the World
wouldn't trade Bryce Harper
I
for
would
Ohtani?
not trade Bryce.
You think Bryce Harper's that good to keep for Ohtani?
Are you
It just wouldn't
serious
make
right
sense.
now?
It's just not
At this point, it's fandom,
The
Nick.
logistics,
What are you talking
the logistics
about?
don't make sense.
Nick.
One, they wouldn't do it straight up anyway, so it's not a realistic thing. If you're going to package Bryce Harper and a bunch of picks, just to, if you want
to be just.
if you want Ohtani,
Yeah,
at
it's
least
Ohtani.
if you want Ohtani for a couple months at least, right? You don't know he doesn't. Who knows if he wants to resign?
Well, that's
you want
Philly's fault.
chance
They
to
gotta
win the
figure that
World
out.
Series. You need him and Bryce Harper. So you give up what you need to get them
Did
together.
you say World Series?
Yes.
Come on, man.
Oh my!
Man,
The
get-
disrespect
get
for
Bryce
the
Harper
Phillies
outta here, bro.
on this set is unbelievable. That's going to do it for us here on a Wednesday. Should the Phillies trade for Ohtani? Yes, yes, and
Yes.
Yes.
Bryce Harper, buy.
Offer different prices. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. See us
Bryce
next
Harper,
Monday.
buy
We're back
.com.
on Monday next week. We'll see you then.